So I thought that, before I dive into the time-consuming research for my next Best Actress year, I would make a short, non-analytical video, just something fun and only based on my personal opinion, but of course also with Best Actress winners. Obviously, I thought of the usual, my favorite Best Actress winners, my least favorite Best Actress winners, and so on and so forth, but I ultimately settled on something a little different. Being on film Twitter, reading Oscar forums and blogs, watching YouTube videos about the Oscars, listening to podcasts, you get a feeling which Best Actress winners are certainly not the most popular choices among movie fans. And sometimes I agree, and sometimes I disagree. And that's why I decided to make this list, to highlight some underrated, or to put it more distinctly, disliked Best Actress winners that I personally like very much, or at least appreciate for what they tried to achieve. So let's get going in chronological order. Louise Reiner, the Great Ziegfeld. Yes, starting off quite controversial. Louise Reiner's reputation today is in general that either you never heard of her, or that you have heard of her and don't like her. The fact that she won 2 Best Actress Oscars over many Hollywood legends who never triumphed themselves, that her career was so short that these 2 Oscars ultimately had absolutely no meaning, and an acting style that has not aged well for many, tend to turn most people against her. Well, I think her work in The Great Ziegfeld is delightfully refreshing, full of a unique energy, and also extremely funny. Today we mostly remember the heartbreaking telephone scene, and yes, it is a wonderful moment, but most of her performance is actually more on the comedic side, which she does brilliantly. She is the prototype of the typical stage diva, self-assured and knowing her worth, but suddenly thrown into an unknown situation. She obviously adores William Powell Ziegfeld from the first moment, but can never understand him or be sure of his affection. And Louise Reiner plays this with the right amount of heartbreak, insecurity, but also hilarity. The Great Ziegfeld often drags, but never when she is around. Louise Reiner, the Good Earth. Okay, this is even more controversial, trust me, I know. And let me begin right away by saying that, yes, Anna May Wong should have gotten this part, but the powers of 1930s Hollywood would never have allowed this to happen. Yes, I understand the criticism for her playing this role, and I also understand why, even beyond that, many again have trouble with her acting style. While she was very hypergetic in The Great Ziegfeld, she is now the complete opposite, some describing her performance as stiff and lifeless. But I feel that something really miraculous happens here. For me, Louise Reiner combines the best of 1930s Hollywood movie acting with something that feels surprisingly modern, resulting in a performance that can compete with the grandest masters of the silent era, but also captures the essence of a tortured, struggling soul. I can sense her pure exhaustion every moment she's on screen, but also feel that determination that never lets her give up and do everything she can to support her husband and her family. It is an often thankless role, but Louise Reiner added dignity and strength to it. Ginger Rogers, Kitty Foyle. Today, this win is probably most disliked because it did not come for one of Ginger Rogers' legendary musical performances, but rather a forgotten drama over some of the most famous Best Actress nominees of the 40s. But Ginger is actually pretty great in Kitty Foyle. The part itself is not very thrilling. Like so many female characters of the time, Kitty only exists to choose between 2 men, but Ginger makes it all come alive perfectly. She beautifully underplays Kitty's sarcastic moments, but also many dramatic scenes, never aiming to show off her skills and prove herself in more serious material, like many other actresses in her situation might have done. It all feels very organic and believable, and Ginger can break your heart with a single look and give you new hope just a few seconds later. Jennifer Jones, The Song of Bernadette. I'm not sure what Jennifer Jones' reputation is nowadays. Certainly not as strong as contemporaries like Ingrid Bergman or Barbara Stanwyck, and I would argue many of her performances and movies have largely become forgotten. And of course, her winning the Oscar in a year when Ingrid Bergman wasn't even nominated for Casablanca did not help. And I am personally also not her biggest fan. I feel that she can be quite awkward in front of the camera, Especially her body language often feels very artificial and out of place. However, she has two outstanding features: her face and the calmness of her voice. And the song of Bernadette takes complete advantage of that. She is entirely captivating by just looking and feeling. The quiet conviction in her voice, never trying to convince anyone, but also sure for herself, always both overwhelming and comforting. Judy Holliday, born yesterday. Well, if you win an Oscar over Bette Davis in All About Eve and Gloria Swanson in Sunset Boulevard, I suppose the controversy is bound to happen. Especially if you win the Oscar for playing a dumb blonde in what is now regarded as a small, maybe largely forgotten comedy. But the thing is, Judy Holliday is absolutely outstanding in Born Yesterday and gives a performance that deserves to be regarded just as highly as Bette Davis as Margot Channing and Gloria Swanson as Norma Desmond. Because of the voice and the emphasized mannerisms that Judy uses to create Billy, it's very easy to overlook the depths in her work and how detailed this performance is. Pay attention to the constant sadness in Billy's eyes, the disappointment she feels in herself, the slow understanding of her own situation and what she feels is right and wrong. Judy inhabits this role to a point where everything feels completely natural, jokes never forced or written, but always as part of Billy's character, proving that a tour de force can also make you laugh again and again. Grace Kelly, the country girl. Oh, more controversy. I think we can all agree that the main reason why this performance is so disliked today is the fact that it won at the Oscars. I suppose if this had only been a nominee, many might appreciate the risks that Grace Kelly took here to expand her image and talents. But a triumph over Judy Garland in A Star Is Born turned this instead into one of the most hated Best Actress wins of all time. But taken out of the context of the Oscar race, Grace Kelly is very strong in The Country Girl. Yes, there are moments when that melodramatic 50s acting style is too dominant, but I admire how unlikable she was willing to be here, leaving the intentions of her character always up in the air and never being the purely supportive wife, but actually rather fed up, annoyed, and quite frankly sick to take care of this man. It is a juicy role, and Grace sunk her teeth in it. Yes, she was more suited to the world of Hitchcock rather than heavy drama, but her performance is actually pretty great. Anne Bancroft, The Miracle Worker. Okay, I think this performance is not really disliked in the same way many others I mention here are. I think everyone agrees that Anne Bancroft is pretty fantastic in The Miracle Worker, but of course, she dared to triumph at the Oscars over Bette Davis in Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. Add Ryan Murphy's miniseries into the mix, which basically says that Anne only won because Joan Crawford campaigned in the background against Betty, and you can say that Anne Bancroft's work is extremely underrated. Especially since it's actually one of the greatest Oscar-winning performances ever. Raw, exhausting and emotional, and just because it's not as legendary as Baby Jane, this win does in no way deserve to be considered just a result of manipulative scheming. Glenda Jackson, A Touch of Class. Considering how actresses like Irene Dunne, Carole Lombard or Myrna Loy never won Oscars for their comedic work, it does seem surprising that a dramatic heavy hitter like Glenda Jackson did. But of course, she won for a forgotten sex comedy from the 70s that didn't age well at all for many people, plus it was already her second Oscar in a few years, so it's hard to find somebody who actually likes this win and performance in 2023. Well, I do. Glenda Jackson is on fire in A Touch of Class, creating a three-dimensional character out of very thin writing and making her chemistry with George Segal as the usual pair of opposites absolutely engaging. She has a kind of Katharine Hepburn quality to her comedic acting. Both are actresses that only need to slightly change the sound of their voices to add a sarcastic, biting quality to their line deliveries and so seamlessly switch between drama and comedy. Yes, A Touch of Class is not a masterpiece, but I very much enjoy it, and I can't deny the delightful brilliance of Glenda Jackson in it. Geraldine Page, The Trip to Bountiful. First of all, yes, a history-making win for Whoopi Goldberg in The Color Purple would have been a very important and deserved moment in Oscar history. And I don't want to deny that sentiment for Geraldine Page, who received Oscar nomination number 8 for the trip to Bountiful without a win so far, played a huge part in her Oscar win. But the thing is, Geraldine's performance is still an absolute masterclass and quite frankly an all-time high in this category. She uses all her tics and tricks as an actress to create something very natural and deep, as she plays a woman longing to return to her childhood home just once more. She can create countless images right in front of your eyes as she recounts the tragedies and losses of her life, making a return to Bountiful just as important for the viewers as for herself. Jessica Tandy driving Miss Daisy. I'm not sure if this is really an unpopular win. I just feel that, because of Jessica Tandy's age, it is often dismissed as a sentimental choice. Add to that the performance of Michelle Pfeiffer in The Fabulous Baker Boys is held in much higher esteem today, and that Driving Miss Daisy is not the kind of Best Picture winner a lot of people nowadays admit to liking, it seems that Jessica Tandy's wonderful performance is often unfairly ignored. She impressively plays the stubbornness and also quite frankly unlikable sides of Miss Daisy, never letting her suddenly melt away due to her friendship with Morgan Freeman's Hoke. Instead, she portrays a slow, gradual and never exaggerated transformation that is just beautiful to watch. Helen Hunt, As Good as It Gets. Another winner that very often makes the worst Best Actress winners of all time lists, I have to say that I adore Helen Hunt here. She has a very distinct style to add humor to some moments, to make Carol truly her own, and she handles comedy and drama like the pro she is. Her chemistry with Jack Nicholson, despite the obvious age difference, is top-notch, but she never gives up Carol's own agenda or lets her become defined as an object of affection. She makes Carol constantly aware, never forgetting the struggles of her life even in joyous moments, and never allows Carol to be defined by Melvin or herself to be overshadowed by Jack Nicholson, creating an intriguing relationship of equals instead. Gwyneth Paltrow, Shakespeare in Love. Okay, I guess if I haven't already, I will definitely lose you here. And hey, yes, I also don't think that Gwyneth gives the most amazing performance of all time here, and I actually hated this win and performance for a long time, but the thing is, in my opinion, it actually ages very beautifully. It probably depends on what you think of Shakespeare in Love as a whole, which is also often regarded as one of the worst Best Picture winners. Well, I absolutely love this movie, and I think it's a true masterpiece. And Gwyneth finds exactly the right tone for it. Yes, she's not flashy, because it's not a flashy role, but she's captivating and holds your attention. She makes a wonderful heroine, and dare I say, makes it almost look too easy. Again, it's not the most demanding Oscar-winning part ever, but she fits perfectly into the specific kind of light romantic comedy, making every moment she's on screen beautifully engaging. Julia Roberts, Erin Brockovich. What's kind of funny about this performance is that people either love it or hate it, without any middle ground. People who hate it usually refer to the fact that they hate Julia Roberts in general, that she won over Ellen Burstyn in Requiem for a Dream, and that Erin Brockovich is much more a movie star performance than the kind of demanding character work you want to see awarded here. But this is also the reason why so many people love it. And I love it too. Julia Roberts could not have found a better project to highlight everything that makes her such a unique screen presence. And hey, just because a movie plays well on TV and is rewatchable and quotable and makes you love the actress on screen, doesn't mean it's not Oscar worthy. Hilary Swank, $1 Million Baby. Yes, I get it. Does Hilary Swank really need 2 Oscars? Probably not. And the Best Actress lineup of 2004 might not often be discussed as one of the greatest of all time, but it does offer amazing work from 5 actresses, and either Kate Winslet or Imelda Staunton are today usually seen as the 2 major victims of robbery here. But even if you don't think that Hilary Swank should have won an Oscar, you cannot deny the power of her performance in $1 Million Baby. She is determined and forceful, but also insecure, shy, and unable to connect. It's written as a rather stereotypical role. Maggie seldom seems to have her own agenda, and of course the script is begging you to love her at every moment, especially in comparison to her awful family or her opponent in the ring. But it's the kind of character that fits Hilary Swank like a glove, and she adds layers and intelligence to Maggie that make her ultimate fate truly feel like a punch in the stomach. Renée Zellweger, Judy. And again, I get it. Judy Garland never won an Oscar, but Renée Zellweger wins one for playing her? The same Renée Zellweger that already has one of the most unpopular Oscar wins of all time for Cold Mountain, a performance I actually also love. The same Renée Zellweger who had basically disappeared before Judy and would disappear again right after it. And all of this for a movie that became forgotten 2 minutes after the Oscars were over. Yes, the Academy's love for biopics really went too far for many this time, but even as someone who agrees that Judy is certainly no masterpiece, I consider Renée Zellweger's performance at its center a complex, devastating tour de force. I don't feel that she is truly believable as Judy Garland per se, but she embodies a certain star persona that makes me believe that, even if she is not Judy Garland, she is someone who draws attention, who can sell tickets and have adoring fans, and who tries to handle the hardships of life as well as humanly possible, even if never successfully. Let me know what you think of my picks here, and thanks for watching.